What's up, fam, and welcome back to the show. Your guest today is me. It's a solo cast because I was sitting on my porch recently and it dawned on me just how close the summer is. And I had this crazy thought. What if I locked in? What if I just went for it? What if Steve developed his own shred maxing protocol to get in the best possible shape for summer 2025? Why not? I'm busy. I'm a dad. I could pretend that my glory days are behind me, or I could decide to lock in. And then I thought, you know what? That would be cool to share with this audience because maybe they want to lock into. So if you want to go for it, if you want to be in the best shape of your life 12 weeks away from now when summer officially begins, then this is the episode for you. We're going to be talking about nutrition. We're going to be talking about lifestyle. We're going to be talking about movement and everything within those three pillars that you can apply to give yourself the best possible shot at being the best version of you that you've ever been. If that sounds like what you're into, then buckle up and let's get into the show. This is what I would do if I wanted to be in the best possible shape 8 to 12 weeks from now because I'm going on me holidays or whatever it is to look good, feel good, move good, think good. By the way, these are applicable 365 days a year, but there's nothing quite as motivating for some people as thinking about feeling confident in their body when they step out on that family vacation on the beach or whatever tickles your fancy. So let's get right into it. And I think that if you implement these behaviors and these changes 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks from now, whenever you're going on your jollies, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to look good and you're going to get your mind right, more importantly than anything else. So number one, these are the big three I'm focusing on. Number one has to be nutrition. Okay, nutrition is king when it comes to body composition, potentially overall health too, especially when we think about how we want to look in these wonderful meat suits that we reside in. Nutrition is going to be the thing that gives you 80-ish% of your body composition goal and achieving that. You know, they say abs are made in the kitchen for a reason. I would push back on that a little bit and say that abs are made through resistance training exercise, but they are revealed most certainly in the kitchen with your choices or staying out of the fast food restaurants, for example. So nutrition really is king, and we want to keep it simple. No fluff, no fuss. Maximizing nutrients, minimizing fuss would look something like an animal-based diet. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're not all in on an animal-based diet, now is the time to go all in. Stop playing around. What are you waiting for? If you're somehow new here, or if you're a listener and you're not doing the animal-based diet, what are you doing? This is the proper human diet. It's ancestrally appropriate. It's really delicious. And quite frankly, it's quite easy if you do it right. So what are the ways that we get to do this right to really maximize and shred max? Eat nose to tail, for one, because we want to maximize nutrient density. So that doesn't just mean crushing ribeyes, although you can crush as many of those as your wallet allows. But eating nose to tail means honoring the whole animal. So, of course, we're here talking about organs again. The biggest bang for your buck when it comes to nutrient diversity and nutrient content. So they're very, very nutrient dense per gram. If you stack liver up against any other superfood that we give these names to, like broccoli sprouts or acai bowls or any other one that you want to pick from the interwebs, that liver is king, undisputed. But then we've got all these other organs like heart, which is rich in coenzyme Q10 and immunomodulating organs. And then not only does the nose to tail think about the organs, it's also the connective tissue and bone marrow and all of these other amazing and unique compounds that most humans just aren't eating. And I think one of the keys that really unlocks health and vitality, but in particular, metabolism, and this is a metabolism based conversation, which constitutes most of your caloric burn over the course of a day and your health too, because good metabolic health is good health, is micronutrients. Micronutrients are kind of like the keys that open the locks to energy production, cellular energy production, metabolic rate, optimized mitochondria. So we need to get those micronutrients dialed in by eating nose to tail. So don't just crush the protein, get in the connective tissue, get in some organs. If you don't want to go out or know where to get it in your store, you don't want to cook it, it's not your thing, go to heartandsoil.co, pick up one of our blends. Some of my favorites for the guys in particular is whole package. That's a liver, a whole blood extract, and testicle, which can be very beneficial for hormonal health support, that testosterone. But beef organs is awesome. Pure American liver, lifeblood. Underrated one, I think, is bone matrix. It's really high in calcium, and calcium is really healthy for the metabolic rate. So we've got a suite of options there. We need to be protein maxing. Okay, protein is the most satiating macronutrient gram for gram. So when we're thinking about staying full is going to steer us away from the snack cupboards, where really you're not going to be doing yourself any favors if your goal is to get yourself in some pretty incredible shape for this summer. You don't want the fluffy, low nutrient density, kind of like mouth pleasure calories galore. So the bags of chips, I get it. And there's some better brands. There's some brands that cook in avocado oil, all of that stuff, but it's still relatively empty calories. And the more protein you pack into your diet, the less you're even going to want to look at that stuff, because you're going to be meeting those needs. You're going to be giving your body the essential amino acids that it requires to build muscle. We'll get to that piece in a minute, but you're going to stay full. And when you're full and you're satiated, you're not going to be looking for those snacks. You're not going to be overeating, because we do want to maintain a pretty good metabolic rate and homeostatic input between calories in and calories out if we're trying to optimize for something like fat loss and muscle building. Protein is king. So crush the ground beef, an unsung hero. It's collagen rich, it's cheap, it's diverse. You can make all kinds with it, from burgers to chilies, anything else, meatballs. Like, ground beef really is budget friendly and also massively underrated on your health journey. So we got nose to tail nutrition, we got maximizing your ground beef, and then add in the carbohydrates that come from nature in a very bioavailable form. So your fruit galore. It's as we change into the seasons and we get in also this like kind of really cool, slightly nerdy circadian health kind of slant on things, which is eating seasonally appropriate foods too. We are also getting into the seasons where most of us are going to experience more sunlight, and more sunlight would indicate a more kind of ancestrally appropriate environment to be indulging in more fruit, maybe even more fruit from tropical climates, depending on where you live. But the more sun you're getting, the more movement you're doing, which would all be part of a shred maxing protocol, the more wiggle room you have for carbohydrates in your diet, which are also very pro-metabolic. They also support the thyroid. They support the metabolic rate if they are coming without a bunch of anti-nutrients, because they're bound up in greens powders or fiber that's not doing you any favors. Like, too much of that can be damaging to the gut. It can cause micronutrient deficiencies over time as you get bound up in these plant anti-nutrients that stop you absorbing certain things. So fruit is the offering of the plant. It's delicious. It's bright. It's colorful. It's the plant saying, hey, eat me. And it's nature's ultimate form of carbohydrates. And then you've got raw dairy. I have been milk maxing as of late, been taking down probably 2 to 3 gallons of milk a week. And that's probably not the most advisable thing if you're looking to be shred maxing. But if you are looking to pack on muscle, it's really, really helpful, because especially in raw milk, you've got a perfect blend of protein, carbs, and fats. You've got easy to digest calories. You've got low grade colostrum, which is interesting for your IGF-1 and your growth hormone. You've got thyroid supporting elements to raw dairy. You've got the calcium that I mentioned that can also be found in things like bone matrix. So make dairy your friend. Maybe go a little shyer than I'm being with dairy if your goal is to maximize fat loss, or go down the route of, skimmed milk. You can get your raw milk and you'll see that it separates because we don't homogenize it. And maybe you can skim some of the cream off the top of that and give it to your loved one, or give it to your pets, or just go crazy and know that you don't really have to overthink these things too much if you're just staying in the bounds of an animal-based diet with real food. Moving on to point 2, and this is important if we're going to shred max, the movement piece of this. You need to be getting into the gym, because we want to burn more muscle without burning out. And we need to provide the stimulus in order to do that. So if we build this well-rounded animal-based diet, then we have to ask, what stimulus are we providing through the body, through the nervous system, to build some muscle, and really prioritizing trying to do that in the next 8 to 12 weeks and for the rest of your life, because muscle is perhaps the most beneficial thing you could seek to put on your skeleton from a longevity and health standpoint. Not only is it going to help you enjoy more of life because more muscle will support your skeleton. It will allow you to move more. It will increase your confidence because we all know that's ultimately what we're going for, right? A body that feels strong, looks strong. We feel strong inside of that body. It's going to protect you as you age because when you fall over, the risk of fracturing a hip or breaking something is going to be very closely linked with how much muscle you have on your body and staving off osteoporosis or bone mineral loss, and also sarcopenia, which is muscle loss that comes with aging, not only because our diets are trash, but that most people aren't putting the stimulus through the muscles to cause them to adapt and grow. So you want muscle for that reason. You also want it because it is a glucose sink. When you do eat those carbohydrates, if you've got muscle on your body, that's the first place they're going to go to, is to store as muscle glycogen after they've met the immediate demands for energy. And that's going to make your muscles feel full. It's going to fill them with glycogen so they can perform their energy outputs. And you're going to feel great doing so. And that's really what we want when we're talking about shred maxing. We don't just want to be skinny for the sake of being skinny. That's not the terminology we're using. We want to be strong. And you cannot be strong without seeking to train in a way that makes you strong. And when you train in a way that makes you strong, you build muscle. And now you're lean and densely muscled, and that feels really good. So that requires the training stimulus. It's going to require that you hit the gym and lift weights at least 3 times a week. And I would say upwards of 4. 5 would be for only highly trained people, but you need to be hitting the gym and resistance training 3 to 4 times a week if your goal is to get in pretty remarkable shape over the course of from now until summer, and focusing on compound lifts, multi-joint functional compound lifts with dumbbells, with barbells, or even with your own body weight, but it needs to be heavy. Guess what? You're living inside of a meat suit that is probably pretty heavy if you learn to leverage it. The basics work really well. Push-ups, lunges, squats, buy a pull-up bar. You can do a lot with this body without needing to spend money investing in equipment or a gym. But if you have access to a gym, this is where the other tools become remarkably beneficial. The barbell is amazing. It allows you to get so much work done in such little time. Dumbbells are similar, but they also add in this unilateral element, which is it's not all loaded across one barbell now. It's in each hand or working on each leg. So you get these added benefits of not having one side dominate the movement or working unilaterally with your legs and your balance, for example. And then we get into unconventional tools like kettlebells and maces and steel clubs and animal flow and gymnastics rings. There are infinite ways you can move your body in a resistance training manner that will cause your body to be put under the necessary stress through the nervous system, through the muscle, that will cause the body to adapt to that stress by getting stronger and building more muscle, which is going to directly correlate with your health, your longevity, and done in this sense. Also, I think your confidence, your happiness, your health, and for sure a key ingredient if you want to look good and feel good when you are doing whatever it is that you want to do. A strong body is paramount, and it's hard to have a weak mind and a strong body, which is why I think so many people that get into the gym or start moving in this way, they just love it. They become almost addicted to the feeling of being in that strong body that gives them the strong mind, that gives them the courage and the confidence to do whatever it is in life, whether that's attack a new career path or just have sex with the lights on again or be more intimate with the partner because they are feeling good. And that's what we want more than anything in our lives, is to feel good and to have the energy to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So the diet takes care of the energy. The work that we put in the gym takes care of how the body looks and performs too. You don't want to get stuck in dysfunctional patterns. You want to be able to move your body under load. And strength training is mobility training. Learning how to squat properly under load, learning how to do these movements is not just about packing on muscle and getting all worried about becoming stiff. It's learning to move well. And moving well also opens up so many more things we can do with our body, so many more experiences we can have. And because experience is the greatest teacher in life, maybe even more wisdom, because we can do more stuff. And when we do more stuff, we learn more stuff. So it's so fascinating how it's all connected, but it requires work. It's going to require that you get in there 3 to 4 times a week and hit the weights or hit the kettlebells or get on the pull-up bar or climb a tree or crawl on the ground, but you're going to need to do it, and you're going to need to train in a way that is efficiently stimulating enough to cause your body to adapt, which means that it has to be hard. It cannot be easy. You see these people in the gym all the time doing 20 reps on a machine and they're barely elevating the heart rate. And no movement is bad movement, but that's not going to produce enough force or effort to cause your body to adapt and grow more muscle. You need to be training close to failure to cause your body to get stronger. So using something like the perceived rate of exertion scale or the rate of perceived exertion. If your exercise is rated as a 0 out of 10 effort, like it's no effort, that is not going to cause you to positively adapt. A 10 out of 10 effort is complete failure. And obviously you can't get much work done at complete failure. You want to be training consistently, especially in your working sets, in the range of probably 7, 8, and 9 out of 10 difficulty. This is hard, strenuous reps. This is where you are digging deep. That is where the gains are made. And this is what you should be asking of your training in order to really reap the gains that you want to show. And you will reap what you sow with the work that you put in the gym. So lift 3 to 4 times a week, move daily. It's said time and time again now because it is very simple and it's borderline magic when people want to accelerate fat loss and also accelerate their health, because so many healthy benefits come from walking. So set yourself a little healthy step goal, something like a minimum of 7K steps per day, but ideally shooting for 10K or maybe even 12K, depending on how much you want to get after this, how much extra weight you have to lose. Like, be a bit aggressive. Like, look at this as a bit of a sprint season. You've got 8 to 10 weeks here to really focus and dedicate yourself to something, to see what you can accomplish in that time frame. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, you can do crazy things in 10 weeks with the right focus, with the right diet, with the right movement, with being consistent and hitting this step goal and moving frequently at this slow pace. So set yourself a step goal, listen to a podcast, listen to the birds and the bees, like listen to nature, do whatever you need to do. But there's so many free gains that come from that. Not only is it metabolically supportive, you're getting your non-exercise activity thermogenesis up, you're burning a lot of extra calories. Those calories are mostly coming from fat because of the energy demands of that being a very with oxygen style of exercise, which is preferentially fat oxidation and burning fat. But it's good for your joints, it's good for your digestion. If you're walking, you're probably outside, so now you're getting sunlight, which is good for everything else. So walk and hit those step goals and get that NEAT up. And then my bonus here would be add in sprints once a week. If you can't physically sprint on your 2 legs on the ground, then sprint on a bike or sprint on an incline treadmill or sprint on a rowing machine or do anything in the energy of sprinting, which basically means an all-out balls to the wall effort, as hard as you can go for a very short amount of time with a decently long recovery, and then do it again for anywhere from 5 to 10 repetitions and you are done. This whole sprint workout is in the realm of anywhere from like 10 minutes to a maximum of 30 minutes, depending on your kind of training volume and the level you need to recover, etc. It's more about the stimulus. Again, these are 100% efforts for somewhere in the range of probably 8 to 15 seconds per effort, with something like 30 to 90 seconds rest and recovery. So right outside here where I'm recording the podcast right now, I have a little hill outside my house, and that's exactly what I do once a week. Usually on Sundays, I'll hit some little hill sprints, and I'll sprint as hard as I can, as fast as I can, explosive as I can for about 8 to 10 seconds. And then I'll walk back down the hill. I'll let my heart rate come down a little bit, and I'll rinse and repeat for anywhere between 5 to 8 rounds. And that's my sprint workout done. It's a real natural test of athleticism. It preserves power. And there's this crazy statistic that after the age of 30, 90% of adults will never sprint again in their life. And I think that correlates very much with the decline in our health, the decline in our athleticism, our confidence in our bodies, our injury risk goes up, and also our hormonal health, because sprinting is an incredibly potent kind of push to hormones like anti-aging youthful hormones, growth hormone spikes, testosterone spikes. And yes, women, you have testosterone too. Actually, by volume, it's a very large part of it, one of the sex hormones that you have in you, and you want that to be in healthy ranges. Growth hormone, essential for recovery. So sprinting seems to be a magic bullet thing to put in the arsenal of tools when dicing, slicing, shredding up is kind of at the crux of what you're trying to do. So add in sprints 1 time a week. So between now and 12 weeks, that's only 12 sprint sessions, but the difference could be quite profound when you start to prioritize this. Now, of course, if you haven't done this for a while, start slow. Maybe you do something like 20 seconds on the bike instead of an 8 to 10 seconds on the hill. But you have to try and still stimulate that very, very ATP, very glycolytic pathway. Get after it. Go hard, 100% effort, rest, back off, do it again rest a week, rinse and repeat. That will help on your goals. And then last but not least, we lead into the third pillar, which is lifestyle. So I like to think of lifestyle as the 3 S's. We're thinking sun, sleep, and stress. So let's start with everybody's favorite, the sun. The sun, the giver of life, the light diet thing that I've been talking about and thinking about so much these days, that we think so much about what we put in our mouths, but we don't think about the light that we are eating, the lights that we are under on a day-to-day basis. Where maybe that's in our homes, maybe that's in our workplace environment, maybe that's driving in the car. I drive to the gym early in the morning. It's still dark outside. I notice my whole car is lit up with these awfully obnoxious blue lights. So I'm the crazy guy. I've got covers on the display. I've got red tape on the dial. So it's all like a bit more like, okay, that's a bit calmer. Now I'm recording a podcast under this, obnoxious blue light because it looks good for YouTube. But as soon as that's off, the rest of my lighting in my house is incandescent. I'll go outside. I'll put my bare feet in the ground. I'll get some sunlight. I'll try and get those early morning light waves as close to sunrise as I possibly can, because that entrains the circadian clocks in the body, the digestive clocks. It makes me more insulin sensitive. It mediates the cortisol spike in the morning, making it much more aligned with the natural rhythms. It's going to lower the stress response in all areas of life. It's going to lower glucose response in accordance with meals. There's studies where they've looked at feeding people a big bolus of carbohydrates in an artificially lit environment versus feeding them with a red light panel shining on their back, which mimics the wavelengths of sun, particularly like sunrise and sunset sun. And you'll see a 20, 30, 40% reduction in the spike of blood glucose and the elevation of insulin over time. So take your meals outside, get as much sun as you possibly can from now all the way through the summer without burning. Nobody's advocating that you burn, but this is the time of year to start building that solar callus, to build up a nice base layer tan, so that when you start to get into, the Junes and the Julys, the Augusts of the world, when the UV index is higher, that you can be out in the sun for a long time without needing to put toxic sunscreen on you, without burning and causing skin damage, and harnessing all of that solar energy from the sun, because you are a solar powered machine. That also massively, largely plays into the other 2 S's, which is sleep and stress. It's very hard to be stressed out at the beach, right? Why? Because you're by the ocean. You've got this massive pool of negative ions that you can suck up and ground and charge with. You've got the sun overhead that's giving you life, breathing vitamin D into your body and into your bones. But you've got this increase in nitric oxide, which is improving blood flow. You've got pretty much every health marker increases when somebody is in a low stress state out in the sun. So it helps with the stress piece. But otherwise, we've got mindfulness-based reduction practices, spending more time with a loved one, organizing a date night per week at a seed oil-free restaurant, ideally, doing things with your kids, doing things that you're passionate about, putting one day a week on the calendar where you just play for the sake of play, or you take a dance class, or you pick up that guitar in the corner of the room that's gathering dust, to try and really make this time, whilst you simultaneously dial in your nutrition, dial up your training, you stress modulate. You actually anti-stress. You do these stress relieving practices. You monk max. You meditate in the morning, or you journal, or you pray, or you practice gratitude. That you actually give these things a good crack whilst you're going hard, to really balance that seesaw. Because too much, too hard, and too quick is a recipe for burning out. But you can maximize the recovery, which is really the anabolic phase. All of the stuff that we're doing in the gym, the lifting, the breaking the body down, that's a catabolic process that then builds in the anabolic rebound window. But those things will be diminished if you are massively overstressed. Your nutrition isn't dialed in. Your sleep is crap. You're not in the sunshine. So you need to balance the seesaw so that when you do break the body down with the things that we're doing, the sprinting and the lifting, that when you move into these yin practices, these working in practices, this acquiring of resources, good food, good water, good sleep, good stress management, that your anabolic rebound is really strong and your body builds back stronger than it could have been otherwise. So manage your stress and do things that you know are life-giving to you, that are not energy draining, but energy gaining for you. Max those things as well. And the last one, of course, is sleep. And the reason I said sun is so woven into the sleep equation is also because the more time you spend outside over the course of a day, the more you are getting that organic light information that geolocates your body in time, in space, and tells it what time it actually is, as opposed to 10 o'clock at night when you're blasting yourself with blue light watching Netflix and you're getting all kinds of mixed signals. You know you're tired, you're experiencing this weird kind of tired but wired phenomenon because you are in an environmental mismatch. You are supposed to be winding down, but the stimulus from your environment is cranking up. So the more sun you can get, especially early in the day, kind of sets your diurnal sleep clocks for 12 hours later. That's going to then start flooding your body with melatonin and telling it, hey, it's time to wind down now and go to sleep. This is why, another reason why, this morning sunlight thing that Andrew Huberman's talking about and everybody is doing, and Sunrise Club that I talk about, is another massively underrated reason why a good night of sleep starts with what you do in the morning and these light behaviors. But sleep also is pretty much where all the recovery happens. It's where the gains are made or cemented. You know, the gains, the seeds for the gains are planted in the gym with the lifting, but they're really solidified and cemented in the sleep. And if you're operating at a chronic sleep deficit, either from a quantity standpoint, you're not sleeping enough, right? You're scraping by with 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep. The difference between like 6 and 8 is massive. The difference between 5 and 7 is massive. What you can do to prioritize and get an extra hour, an extra 30 minutes even, just start with what you can do and then build healthier habits around the stress management, around the screens at night, around limits, around the morning sunlight, which will naturally make you tired earlier in the day so you can get to bed, winding down on the caffeine, not having any coffee after 12 noon. Like, stop doing that 3 p.m. coffee. Why are you even needing to go for it in the first place? Well, it's because you're underslept. Why are you underslept? Oh yeah, duh. You're spending 2 hours every night blasting yourself with Netflix or doom scrolling in the scroll hole. Think about wanting to be your best self. Your best self does not do those things. They set the boundaries. They get to bed on time. They wake up early. They watch the sunrise. They go get after it. They feed themselves well. They love on the world well. They perform whatever they do in the world well with this just attitude of excellence to everything that they do. And they rinse and repeat, and they find so much joy and meaning in that. And that's beautiful. So if you can tie that all together, sleep well, manage the stress well, get the sun, which kind of takes care of the other two as well. Now you're training, you're getting in the resistance, you're eating an animal-based diet, nose to tail, prioritizing the nutrients with little fuss, eating the way nature intended, eating the food that your great-grandparents would recognize as food, not the franken-slop that we've got on the supermarket shelves today, avoiding the seed oils, minimizing eating out, ditch the booze. These are the ways that 12 weeks from now, you will look and feel the best you've ever felt. And isn't it time to just fuck around and find out? Isn't it time to lock in? You could be 12 weeks away from being an entirely different person if you decide to lock in and go for it now. Or you can say, nah, maybe next year. Nah, the summer's for fun. Nah, I'm going to go to France. I'm just going to eat all the ice cream and pizza and carbs, and I'm going to get fat anyway, so what's the point? Like, these are all the little mental gymnastics that we all go through. Or you can maybe challenge yourself, throw the hammer down and say, what if I did get in the best shape of my life? What if I did try to get as strong as I could possibly get? What if I did break through any previous ceilings that I've established over myself and be better than I was 10 years ago? What if I did that too? Isn't that like a worthy endeavor? Doesn't that excite you? It excites me. It's what I'm trying to do. And I invite you to come along for the ride. And let me know how it goes. Check in, drop a comment, send me a DM. Let's shred, Max. Let's get after it. I'll see you in the summer. I hope you're feeling good. Peace out. Until next week, stay radical. All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.